Recorded live with little or no editing. It's Defense Up. I'm Run 7. How you doing? This is the second episode of the Eternal Chavez Showcase. Be sure to check out yesterday's episode and hang in there for tomorrow's episode. We got some good Eternal Chavez teams being shown off. Again, we've got some big numbers here on Dan's. Dan gave me this list quite a while ago because the list for Defense Up is pretty long. That's why I'm doing some Saturdays. I'm trying to get caught up and knock some of these out. But if you want your defense featured on Defense Up, links in the description. Hit me up on Discord. You just send in some screenshots. I format them and we get them up here. While you're down there, be sure to hit that like button. It really does help me out. Okay, team number one, by the way, we grade on 5 different criteria. It's who you're using, their placement, their power levels, their ISOs, and what kind of mood I'm in. I'm hyped up on caffeine. I'm trying to get through these pretty fast. If you couldn't tell, I'm talking a little fast today. All right, we have a Hydra Zemo team. I love this defense. I think it's a very high value defense. You don't have to build it up this big to frustrate people, but the bigger you build them, the tougher they get and the more frustrated people get. And they have to use stuff like a surfer to strip charges or a black bolt to kill people and have them not revive. Although I see people are starting to use Elsa into this team, and you time that ult right and you can get a couple of kills and they don't revive. So that's something to be thinking about. All right, I like that Red Skull is not to the outside. You do want him somewhere in the middle 3 positions. That's because he takes 0 damage until you start knocking people down. And that just helps with like chain attacks or adjacent splash damage, stuff like that. Zemo on this team with Grenadier, great synergy there. You got your tank off to the side. The tank is probably going to be the hot target. I'd like to see you change him to a fortifier, but you have him as a healer. Not going to get a lot of value out of that heal because people are dying and reviving. It's better to make him a fortifier or a native ISO like Striker on Grenadier is great because he'll go back into those vulnerables with his counter assist that does something important. I don't remember what, but I think it's pretty good. So a Skirmisher on the Sniper, that's a good one too. And then you went Skirmisher on Zemo probably because you're using him in Arena. That's fantastic. If you're not using him in Arena, I think Raider's a better pick. For defenses and stuff, it is a good pick. But, you know, we don't have enough ISO 8 to be doing dual ISOs on characters. And that's Scopely's fault, not yours. All right, Healer on Red Skull. That's a good one because he never dies and he is taking lots of turns. So he is throwing out rejuves. You can also put Fortifier on him. And that way, when they get to him, his barrier is pretty much topped off. I'm going to go with an A-. The only thing I'd like to see is a little bit more power in your tank and switch that ISO to a fortifier. Although, tough to say that it's worth it to switch it when you already have him war ready. I don't know. A- there, though. Let's go here. We got to do this and this and this. There we go. Team number 2 is a Mercs. That's kind of interesting. I like having the Riot Guard adjacent to Lieutenant, so that when Riot Guard taunts, he's triggering both of their passive abilities. You're getting heals and you're getting deflects. But you're making sure that your Taskmaster is healed up and deflected. So that's okay. It's a thing. It's a thing to do. I'm actually curious if this works really well. I'd like to test it out. I've thought about doing that. I don't know. I'm in a good mood today, so I won't dock you for that. But I think until I test this, I think people should probably be making Lieutenant and Riot Guard adjacent to each other. At least you have them in the middle. That's the good thing. You're not wasting anything there. You're getting all that stuff getting spread around. I like who you're using. Most of your ISOs are okay. You went Striker on Taskmaster. That's tough because you only got one person putting out vulnerables and 2 people soaking them up. If you're going to go Striker on Taskmaster, then you should have gone either Raider or Skirmisher on him. Probably Raider. You went Healer and Fortifier here. The tank doesn't really need Fortifier. You went Skirmisher on him. He opens up early. Yeah, I'd really like to see you go Skirmisher on Taskmaster and then Striker on Korath the Pursuer. You can leave these 2 the same, but honestly, this guy's so tanky and tough. You don't really need to put Fortifier on him. I guess it's because he's one of the smaller members. Maybe that's it. I don't know. It's a pretty big team. You might think about Ultimus in here too. If you're seeing Skilletaries come after you in your histories, you might think about putting Ultimus on here. I don't know. You got a lot of different ways you can go. I'm going to give you an A- for this team. I think the ISOs is the biggest switch you should do. All right. Team number 3 is a Symbiotes. It's the Symbiotes. It's a big one. You put them on defense. They do fun things. I like the ISOs that you're using. They're all acceptable. You might consider putting Skirmisher on Venom because then his ability block lands for sure. But you could do Striker for that basic combo where he comes in and clears the positive effects too. Either way is good. I'm going to give you an A for that. Good job. Team number 4 is a hybrid with Marauders, Squirrel Girl, and Doc Ock. What value does Squirrel Girl offer? You have one person putting out vulnerables, one person soaking them up, 3 healers, lots of deflex. Strife isn't taunting all that early because you only have 2 villain mutants. I don't know if Squirrel Girl's a great fit here. She's just a cleanse. I mean, she's a cleanse like Emma. I see that. You're trying to replace it. Thank you for the follow, not Dougal. God, I'm terrible at vowels. Okay, she's cleansing like Emma would, and that's cool. It's a decent replacement there. Like if you're just looking at this team, that's something to do. But honestly, I think she's better used elsewhere. It's okay though. It's okay though. Let's take a hard look at Mystique though, and see if you want to keep her on there. You took her to G14, and that's an overinvestment in Mystique, in my opinion, because she goes under stealth, and at G12, she's still sometimes the last person to die. So I don't know. I guess I just don't like who you're using, and I think you kind of overinvested in Mystique. The placement's good. The ISOs are all okay. Like on this build, you might want to stick with healer on Squirrel Girl, but on that YA team and other builds, she is better as a striker. On this build, there's not a lot of value for her being a striker without Ms. Marvel being on the team. So I don't know. I'm not excited about this one. I'm gonna go B+. I think there's some things we should try and do. Like, I don't know. I think there's other teams the Squirrel Girl just fits better on, and I don't like Mystique. I'm not excited about her. All right, number 5. New Warriors. Okay, you went for that Emma, not Drax build. Everybody else is putting Drax and Emma on this team, and it's a formidable defense. It really is. It's tough. But I don't know what value Ghost Rider adds to this. I mean, he's just throwing out more bleeds. Throwing out some defense down a little bit. He's fast, he hits hard. There's gonna be lots of vulnerables on the field for him to double tap into and put lots of bleeds out there. So he's a lot more damage to this team, but man, I mean, if you can get Cloak, or I mean, if you can get Dagger, well, Cloak too, but if you can get Dagger to take her turn, her ultimate, who cares about Ghost Rider, man? He pales in comparison to that ult. It's okay. I do think that Drax is going to be the better fit over here. I still think that, you know, everybody's kind of using the Drax Emma build. It's becoming a little bit more common now. Everybody knows about it. And I think it's still powerful. I know that big Shadowlands can beat it, but who has that big of Shadowlands? I don't know. Maybe check your histories, but I think Drax is the better pick for this one. I think we can find better things to do with Ghost Rider. So again, I'm gonna go with like an A- on this team. You're not doing anything wrong. The Raider ISO on Dagger is interesting. I do prefer her as a skirmisher, or I'm sorry, as a striker for the skirmisher striker combo with her and Cloak. But making her alt crit, woof, that would be fun. So I won't dock you for that. Yeah, I'm gonna go A-. Though. I just think there's better people to be using than Ghost Rider. I don't see a lot of synergy there. Correct me if I'm wrong. Somebody let me know in the comments below if there's something I'm missing. I just don't see it with him. Team number 6 is a Brotherhood with Surfer. You swapped Surfer in for Doom, and I think that's a great decision. No one wants to waste their Zemo, their Rhino Factor on this team, especially with YA being out there and using Zemo Factor into that YA team. Wow, everybody's following during these videos. Appreciate the follow there, Kara Hunter. But yeah, so let's take a look at this. Would anybody, oh wow, a subscription. You're freaking awesome, Kara Hunter. Really appreciate that. Thank you. I think that I've just lost my train of thought here. I think no one's going to waste a Zemo factor or a Rhino factor on this team with Surfer in here. But Surfer in here makes this team really dangerous, like really dangerous. But what I would like to see is for you to change Blob to a skirmisher, because you don't have Pyro. You have one person who puts out one disrupt. And that's not enough for Blob to be rewinding turn meter on. But what would actually help is having a lot of vulnerables on the field for Surfer as a striker to double tap into and get rid of his negative effects, steal their positive effects, all sorts of stuff. Also, Juggernaut does not gain any charges with his basic counter assist. It's just damage, and it's not a lot of damage compared to these newer tunes. He ain't doing the damage like some of these other people are. So you're better off making him a raider also. Otherwise, I think this is a fantastic build, and a lot more people should be using it. If you have a big Brotherhood, I think this is what you should be doing. It's going to be a powerful, fast, upfront team, and people are going to be like, oh man, I can't use my X Factor on this team because we need to save them for YA right now. So it's a great thing to do. I like it. So I'm going to go A- on that, switch those two ISOs, and you're going to get even more value out of that big, huge Surfer you got smacking people around. Team number 7. Okay, we have the SA with Kestrel and Black Bolt. Thank you very much for not putting Fury on this team. Fury is detrimental to this team. You don't want him there. Black Bolt is great on this team, especially if you're like in a defense down adjacent room. We saw in yesterday's video a Coulson in here instead of Black Bolt. Black Bolt's great because if they wanted, like, this is a 1.2 million team. There we go. Numbers, right? 1.2 million team. There might be some people that are just like, oh, forget it, I'm just gonna go in there with Infinity Watch. But then they see Black Bolt and they're like, I don't want Black Bolt to ping one of my, ping my Gamora. What if that happens? Like, what if? You know, it's scary. And that's a 7 Red Star G15 Black Bolt. So that's a scary member of the team getting in there, pinging people, because this team does kind of open up fast. He's getting sped up by Sam. That's a good thing. I mean, there's counters to this. It's not as effective, I think, as yesterday's in a defense adjacent room, but I think this is pretty good. Oh, stop it, Stocky. Stop making fun of me. My chat's making fun of me. Okay, I like what you're doing here. We got Striker. You could also go Raider on her. You don't need to change that. It's almost as valuable as a Striker, but I do prefer her as a Raider. You got Healer on Maria Hill. I see other people going Skirmisher in the late game. Might want to consider that if you're building this team. Having the Skirmisher to put out that vulnerable for certain situations is proving to be more valuable than the Healer. Striker on Black Bolt, that's great. You definitely want to have him as a striker. That's because, yeah, he's all about damage and having him come back in and get the kill so that they don't revive. It's very important. Skirmisher and then Skirmisher. That's interesting. So I know Sam should be a Skirmisher. I'm surprised you went Skirmisher on her. I think that's so that you can make sure her ability block and stuns land, and that's totally good too. There's just, we got to just do weird things in raids these days. And Skirmisher is proving to be really valuable in that Doom 2.3. You just have to have those certain effects land. When you need it to work, it's got to work, and that means you got to go Skirmisher, even to the detriment of a good defense like this. So I'm going to give you a solid A for this. Nothing wrong here. Great choice on what you did here, and good luck in that Doom 2.0 raid. All right, Web Warriors. Again, we see Skirmisher on the OG SpiderMan. That's to make sure his stun lands. We got Striker on Miles, Raider on everybody else. Pretty good placement. I would like to see Scarlet Spider swap places with OG SpiderMan. They're hot targets for this team, and if they do die early, it removes the gap. They got gap placement, so chains and splash damage no longer affect the other guys, and you're just doing 1-to-1 damage or AoEs into them. And these are some dodgy mofos. So, clutch finishes happen with this team. You want to take every chance you can get. So technically there is something you can do to improve the team, which is a minor placement change. I don't remember what I graded the last one. I think it was the same thing as this. I'm going to go ahead and give you an A on this. You do have great power in this team. It's a really tough team, but do get that placement swap. It costs you nothing, and it could be the difference. It's splitting hairs, but it could be the difference. Team number 9. All right, here we have the Eternal Chavez one, right? But instead of putting both Eternals adjacent to Chavez, we have Cersei and Doom, right? Also, we put her that I'm pointing to Shuri. God, names are skipping me today. Okay, Stocky, I get it. Words and names, letters, everything. I can't do it. I got it. So Shuri is possibly going to give Doom that energy. Doom sped up from Chavez, and he could just go into his time platform right off the bat, right? You could go into this team, and there's like nothing you can do but lose. There's that 1 in 5 chance that happens. Okay, so this is a really cool and exciting build. I do like that. Also, making Cersei go first before Icarus is going to soften up people and do the turn meter rewind, giving Icarus enough time to take his turn and then absolutely annihilate people because they're already softened up, so he's going to do a double tap. I think this is a great strategy. I think it's got a piece of RNG that makes this just like, if you're that person that goes in here and gets that 1 in 5 unlucky run where Doom goes straight into his time platform and there's nothing you can do but take the loss, man, just 1 in 5 times, you're absolutely ruining somebody's day. Those are kind of fun, right? Okay, maybe not. I don't know. You went Skirmisher Striker on the Eternals. Great. Also, I kind of like she's going first, so that's putting out that vulnerable for Icarus to go into. Of course, he has to pick the target, but, you know, it might happen. Again, a lot of RNG. You have some other strikers. You might consider making America Chavez a Skirmisher just to put out a few more vulnerables to go off of. I mean, I know she's like single target damage and stuff, and the striker might work, but she's underpowered compared to the rest of the heavy hitters in this team. You're only putting her in there for the speed up. That's it. That's all she's there for. Her knocking people around, it's not going to matter to who's coming into this team. So I think you should make her a skirmisher in the hopes of getting her another vulnerable on the field. You could even do the same with Shuri. I mean, who cares, man? This team is a one-shot, blow them up, and then they're done. You know, you're going to get one DV out of this team, and they're kind of done. Because a lot of people are gonna send in a sack team just to make sure that that Cersei doesn't do her ult the second time around, or that Doom uses his time platform or whatever, you know? I mean, that's the thing. If you go in there and Doom doesn't use his time platform right off the bat, then the next person that goes in, he does use his time platform. Ooh, I never thought about that. That's scary. Yeah, that eliminates the 2-tap, doesn't it? Wow, that's pretty cool. Because there's a four chance in 5 that he doesn't use his time platform but takes a turn. And then on the second person to come in, he's guaranteed to go time platform. Oh, that's clever. Clever. Ooh, I like that. Okay, A+ for this team. It's fantastic. You using a piece of that YA team, proving to people that they don't need to buy those characters or unlock that team or even build it, and do something that is amazing and fun and creative and very, very dangerous and a big headache in war. So good job there. Thank you very much for showing that off, Dan. I appreciate it. All right, next up. Heroes for hire, fortifier, healer, skirmisher, striker, raider. Great choices. Alternatively, you could go skirmisher on Iron Fist. There's a lot of heal block going into this team, so the healer ISO isn't great, but you still get some value out of it when like Infinity Watch comes into it, so I'm not docking anybody for that. Great placement. I love that Shang-Chi is much, much bigger than everybody else. He's gonna trip people up. Now that he's got that green ring around him, though, it kind of catches the eye, and people will take a look at this and go, oh, that's a big Shang-Chi. I gotta be careful. So you probably won't catch as many people off guard with that one, but I mean, you're taking them into Dark Dimension 5, so it's not like you can avoid the green ring, right? Anyway, A for this team. Good job, Dan. I really like your defense. Thank you for sharing that with us. If you want your defense featured, links in the description. Remember, guys, don't just have a good game, be good to yourselves and others too, and I will catch you next time. Bye.